Hi. Bit of a change of pace for today's video. Eagle-eyed viewers might already notice that there's something a little different. That is because I'm trying out a new camera. I think that after 8 long years of service, it's finally time to retire the old GH3 and finally jump on the 4K bandwagon now that I think everybody's switching to 8K. I don't know. I'm trying. If you hate the new look, just know that, don't worry, I hate it too. Mostly because I hate change. Which brings me to the topic of today's video. It seemed only right that I should use this opportunity to talk about a big change that I've just made in my life, which is that I have killed the Skepchick Network. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, oh no, what's that? Because I know that many of you found me here on YouTube and kept our relationship entirely YouTube based, which is fine. But I wanted to put this update out here on my main YouTube channel, not even over on the personal alt channel, because I think that I just want people to know now that it's over. I want you to know that it existed and it was pretty great. And I'd like to just give a quick history of what Skepchick was and what it meant to me. Way back in 2004, Massachusetts legalized same-sex marriage. I know, that's a really weird place to start. But at the time, I was living in Boston, and that ruling inspired 2 friends of mine to go get hitched. And they wanted to do it without religion. So they asked me, their atheist friend, if I could officiate. And I said, absolutely. I was very excited, but I had no idea how an atheist goes about officiating a marriage legally. So I turned to the best atheist I knew of, James the Amazing Randi. And he had a forum full of his fans who, a lot of whom were also atheists. And so I thought, you know what, I'll go ask them. So I did, and they actually were a huge help. They told me what to do. I went and I got ordained through the Universal Church Triumphant of the Apathetic Agnostic. We don't know and we don't care. That was our slogan. And I was able to perform the wedding, and I made some friends on the forum. So I stuck around and found that I really enjoyed that community. That led me to attending my first ever conference, which was Randy's amazing meeting in Las Vegas. And I realized that I was one of just a small handful of women in a sea of men in this community. That led to me joining up with those other women and making a nudie calendar, which we sold to pay for scholarships for more women to join the community and come out to these conferences. And I needed a place where I could sell the calendar, so I grabbed Skepchick.org. And the response was overwhelming, not just from horny men, but from women who, regardless of how they felt about the idea of a nudie calendar, which, my own feelings on that have changed. I've written about it before. Check out the transcript. I'll link to some stuff. You can find the link below. But a lot of women were just excited to see other women in the spotlight, forming a community, and they wanted to get involved. So once the calendars were sold out, I turned Skepchick.org into a monthly e-zine featuring a bunch of different writers. That e-zines were a thing for a few months anyway, before blogs came along. So in 2006, I begrudgingly started blogging as well. The blog eventually got more popular than the zine. It was easier. So I started just adding more friends to the blog because I thought it was stupid to blog by myself. Who wants to hear from just me? So I added people like Gwen Bug Girl Pearson, who you might know from my recent psychic video. She's my psychic entomologist. And things really took off after that. I started traveling around the world giving talks. I met so many cool people, particularly women, at these talks and at these conferences. And a lot of them, I would just be like, you're cool. Do you want to come write for the website? There was no money in it. I hadn't bothered to put any ads on the website. One day, a friend of mine who hosted the site for free informed me that it had grown so popular, it was costing him hundreds of dollars a month, which I found shocking. But I had to then go off and get my own server. And so then I had to put ads on the site. And eventually, like, the ad revenue started to barely cover the cost of the server, which was great. And so then I could start paying the writers 100% of whatever ad money their posts made, which was cool. And it was just so fun to bring a new writer on board and to see them find their voice and carve out their niche and see them then get invited to give talks and go to events. And we kept fundraising. We kept sending more women to conferences like TAM and others. We started working with the organizers of all of these conferences to get more women up on stage and in the audience. Every year I went to that conference in Vegas, there were more and more women there. And then now, we had our own conference. We had Skepchick every year in Minneapolis, which was just this amazing collection of nerds that I looked forward to going to every single year. And eventually members of other marginalized groups or just other people with niche interests came to me hoping to do the same thing, like bring more people into the community and give marginalized people a bigger voice in the community. Because so now I had my own server, so I could set up 100 different blogs. So we launched Teen Skepchick. That was for the younger crowd, written by and for teen critical thinkers. And then Mad Art Lab was written by and for artists who were tired of that stereotype of the artist who just believes everything and is a giant flake. We had Queerica, which was written by and for critical thinkers within the LGBTQIA community. Back then, we were only up to Q. So, we've come a long way. Skeptability was for the intersection of skepticism and disability. Grounded Parents offered advice for raising little smartasses. School of Doubt was for teachers of little smartasses. And then there were the foreign language blogs. They weren't just translations of Skepchick posts. They were by and for people in Sweden, Norway, Spain, Mexico, in their language, talking about things that were happening in their countries. By 2012, we had dozens of writers across the planet. Basically, everywhere I went, I could meet one of my writers. It was such a cool, thriving community. Every site had their own back channel where people would get together, hash out ideas, have arguments, form friendships. Many of those writers then went on to start local meetups or give talks or write for more mainstream publications where they actually got paid real money, or they just achieved their life dreams, like completing their doctorates or starting new careers. And I always felt like this proud parent, or probably more like a proud aunt, because I didn't really do that much. But I just felt so proud every time a writer left the network to pursue even bigger dreams. It was really cool. I was also proud of how we were changing the larger skeptic and atheist movements. We got to the point where, half of the speakers at these big conferences were now women, where when I started, 0 were, where marginalized people could run panels about things other than just diversity. And where, in addition to talking about like psychics and Bigfoot and how there is no God, we were talking about harmful pseudoscience like anti-abortion talking points or racist tropes about IQ, things that were really deeply affecting people's lives. In the decades since then, things have gotten progressively tougher. First, Google killed Google Reader, which effectively put an end to RSS feeds. They were a free and easy way that you could keep tabs on a bunch of different websites that you wanted to read. Like, imagine your Twitter feed, but it's articles from across the internet, a bunch of independent blogs and news sites. It was great, and it's gone. Facebook delivered another killing blow, preventing people from leaving that site, pretending that the written word was now useless and video is the only thing that matters now. At the same time, thanks to, Richard Dawkins and his army of men's rights activists, I was getting death and rape threats regularly. Me and my entire family were doxxed. I had to hire armed security for my talks. And all of that leaked into my writers' lives. They saw the threats and the insults that I was getting. They had some of them directed at them. Some of them were even doxxed along with me. It was really difficult. I can put up with a certain amount, but how can I continue to ask other people to join this project that I have going when I know that that's a possible consequence? Like, come write for me. You'll make maybe enough money to get a cup of coffee if you're lucky. And if you're unlucky, kids on 4chan are going to post your address to each other and send you graphic images. Like, I can't ask that of other people. Then there were the legal threats, whether it was a quack who thought that being criticized was the same as being defamed and libeled, or copyright trolls who came after me and knew I didn't have the money to fight for my writers' fair use in court. This was a nonstop source of anxiety for me. By this point, my server was costing me $600 a month. Google AdSense was paying less and less every month, constantly flagging my account and demonetizing sites for pornographic content, like a writer on Queereka talking about anything to do with being gay. That was too much sexuality for Google. I started up my Patreon as a way to be able to cover that server cost and still pay the writers on Skepchick Prime at least, and then keep all of the sister sites going, regardless of how little traffic they were getting. Because ultimately, I didn't care if advertisers didn't find worth in these niche blogs. People found worth in them. They made marginalized people particularly feel seen and heard. And they helped the mainstream skeptics and atheists, like the white, straight, cis, able-bodied people, get news from those marginalized groups that they weren't otherwise seeing. So it was worth it. And it's that worth that made me hold on a lot longer than I should. As more and more writers left, with no one coming in to replace them, the sister sites started going quiet, and then even Skepchick Prime started getting quiet. And I would occasionally be like, okay, let's relaunch. I'm going to bring in a bunch of new writers and we're going to kick this off again. But then I could just never recapture the magic that made us successful a decade ago. And so here we are, January 2023. Twitter is slowly dying, and that did give me this hope that maybe if a social media giant goes under, maybe blogs will come back. But if that happens, it's going to take a long time, and it's going to be something different. And as much as I hate it, that's okay. I hate change, but things change, and we have to change with them. And so last week, I went around wiping down the tables, putting up the chairs, closing the blinds, and locking the doors on each of the sister sites, officially closing the network. Skepchick Prime is still up, and there's no other writers but me now. And I'll just be using it to post these videos with transcripts. It's like 2006 all over again, just me. So This video is just a tribute to a weird little project that I think deserves to be remembered for how it made the world a better place, even for just a bit, just a short while. It was still worth it and it was good. And I wanted to thank everyone who supported us over the years, whether you were a site moderator or a writer or a reader or a conference attendee. Thank you for making it such a wonderful experience. I met so many amazing people, and I'm really glad we did it. And even though that chapter is now over, I am excited for whatever comes next. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.